I work in the business school. I'm a finance lecturer. I did the Bachelor of Business Studies at UL. I majored in accounting and finance, and I minored in financial services. So I'm a great believer in business at UL, and I'm delighted to MC the event today. So in terms of this talk, we're going to hear from current KBS students about their business at UL experience. We'll also hear from Student Support Officer Declan Mills. We'll hear from Dr. Briga Hines, who's a lecturer in the faculty and who's responsible for advising students in the Enactus programme. And we'll also be joined by the Head of Department of Management and Marketing, Dr. Conor Carroll, who will help us out on the Q&A session. So throughout the talk, if anything comes to mind in terms of queries that you have, just type them into the chat and we'll get to them at the end of the session. So if you don't get an immediate response, we'll pull them up into the chat later on and we'll address them then. And we'll also bring up any common questions that we're asked and give answers for those. So we'll get straight into it. So our first speaker is a fourth year BAIB student, BA in International Business, Jack O'Connor, who is here to share his story with you about his path to studying business at UL, his student experience, and in particular, the entrepreneurial side of the college learning experience here at the KBS.
Hi there, my name is Jack O'Connor and I'm a fourth year international business student here in the Kemmy Business School at the University of Limerick. There's a couple of things that I'm going to be talking to you about today on your open day. And the first thing is kind of why I chose UL and more specifically why I chose the Kemmy Business School. For me, I've always had a crazy passion for business, for innovation and just for learning new things. And from exploring my different options, especially within the different higher education institutes, the different colleges and the different universities here in Ireland, I figured that UL was the obvious choice, not least because I'm from Limerick myself and a proud Limerick man, but also for the range of facilities and the different elements that you can get within your learning. A big thing for me has always been practical experience. I'm a very hands-on learner and I love to be out of the classroom jumping into new experiences, whether that's through a company or a project or an organisation. And that's where the Cooperative Workplace Education Programme comes into play. Co-op is something that you hear a lot around the UL campus and specifically within the Kemmy Business School. And for me, that was the biggest hook when joining the University of Limerick and indeed the Kemmy Business School. Having that chance to engage with the sector and to jump in on real problems and real challenges is something that you can't really get in a lot of other places. So having that in Kemmy was a big draw for me. Why I chose international business specifically was because I have a strong interest in the world around me. I grew up in a very rural village, as you can probably tell by my accent, in the heart of West Limerick. So I always kind of had that innate curiosity to learn more about the world around me and to explore new things and new ideas. And that's exactly what the international business course does when you do enroll with that. Having that opportunity to engage, again, regionally and locally through, Limerick and the Shannon region, but as well as that nationally and globally. I've had some great experiences, which I'll talk to you about later on, that has brought me, across the Americas, across Africa, across Europe. But having that engagement, to be able to engage with the international community that UL has spent decades fostering and building over time has been a second to none experience for me. So a big thing for me when I was making my decision as to where I would go with university is whether I'd be able to go, first of all. So I'm an access student. I'm involved through the higher education access route to education, also known as the HEAR scheme. And what that means is that's basically I'm coming from an area of socioeconomic disadvantage, and there are some additional barriers to me being able to participate in higher education. And thankfully, UL firmly accommodates any of these discrepancies or these barriers through their access program that's built in within the university. I'm on the full special rate of SUSI maintenance grant. So again, finances get to be handled, especially, which is a big barrier for people. I know it was a big barrier for me a couple of years back when I was looking at which university I would go to. And as well as that being from a DEIS school. So I'm from Desmond College in Newcastle West, and I always wear that with pride. And having that experience as well has taught me some fantastic things going forward into third level and has given me a distinct advantage in some areas. But again, these were some things that I was nervous about at the start, especially coming in as a first year when you're finishing off your leaving cert. You've enough going on, especially when you're trying to figure out CAO options and trying to figure out where you're actually going to spend the next couple of years of your life. So having all of those things in mind, again, UL was a standout choice. The access office inside here has been fantastic. They've bailed me out a couple of times, they've helped me, they've sat me down, chatted me when I needed to chat with someone or needed some advice. And the support network from UL as a whole has been fantastic. I mean, even within the Kemmy Business School, you can talk to people about academic references all the way to what you should be doing for co-op, or how you should be engaging in a certain project, or even just standard life issues like understanding rent and tax, and things that may not be taught to you within the second level side of things. So having that engagement within the UL and the Kemmy Business School community has been fantastic for me. So a big element of my student experience has been the extracurricular side of things. As I said earlier, I'm a strong fan of just jumping into projects and just rolling up my sleeves and figuring out things as I go along. And a lot of that has come from my entrepreneurial side of things within UL, which is as the founder and the leader of Moyo Nua. Now, what Moyo Nua is, it's an international development project that focuses on improving the farming capabilities for smallholder farmers in rural Africa. And it's been quite a journey. It started as a Young Scientist project, the BT Young Scientist Technology Exhibition when I was in 6th year, so when I was in Leaving Cert. And when I came into UL and came into the Kemmy Business School, I think the biggest turning point for me was having that community, and it's something that I kind of touch on every now and then. Having that community within the Kemmy Business School to explore these ideas, where there are no clear options, where there are no right answers or clear solutions, and being able to figure it out together as a community. Because especially what people will see and what I've started to see now that I'm in, getting more involved in the workplace and in the professional world, complex solutions require a very strong community to actually facilitate and to manage and to even come up with sometimes. And that's what I got with Kemmy Business School. Now again, Moyo Nua has thankfully come on leaps and bounds. We've just finished a pilot program with 100 smallholder farmers in the Chikwawa district of Malawi, which is in the southeast of the continent. And we have some fantastic partners, the likes of Gold Global helping us to facilitate, Citibank Europe, the University of Limerick Foundation, and a lot of other ones, governmental, non-governmental partners as well. And again, all of that started within my collaboration within the community of the Kemmy Business School. And I've learned some things along the way as well. It's it's not every day you get to chat with a CEO of a global bank, or you get to talk with the President of Ireland, or you get to talk with these other people. But all of that was made possible from my involvement of Moyo Nua within the Kemmy Business School and integrating it within the ecosystem. Now, a lot of that may seem kind of abstract, especially now when your main priority, as I said, are CAO options, Leaving Cert and everything like that. But it's important to note that when you do get to college, your options completely open up. It's and having that support network and having the opportunities that the Kemmy Business School provides to you, again, to me has been second to none. I know I certainly wouldn't be in the position where I am in now had I gone to any other university or any other college, which is a big thing to say, but I can stand over that with absolute conviction because it's tried and tested. I'm one story of many students, not only this year graduating and who's currently in the system, but who've gone through our alumni network. Again, is one of the best in the country, who get involved in every sector, whether it's business, for-profit, non-profit, and having fantastic sector and community leaders on a local and national level sometimes. It's having that support network and having those people that you can draw upon and chat with to work on whatever solutions, whatever ideas you have, for me, has only been possible through my involvement with the Kemmy Business School.
That's a great story there from Jack. Great insights into his extracurricular activities. I think the key thing that Jack brings up there is this idea of a university community, and Jack found his route through that, through entrepreneurship and through engaging through Enactus, etc. It's just as important what happens outside the classroom as what happens inside it. And I think by joining a university community and finding your group within that is hugely important. So for me, that was the GA club, or for you, it might be the Outdoor Pursuit Society, it might be the Debating Society, the Law Society, the International Society, whatever the case might be. So I really, really think that's an important aspect of university life. And to be fair, we do it very well at the University of Limerick. So moving on now, we're going to hear from Kai Downs, and Kai is a second-year BA and International Business student who joined the university during the pandemic. So he's obviously had a very unique experience in the sense that a lot of his learning has been in the blended and online space. So he'll talk to you about his experience and give you insights into student life at UL.
Hi everyone, my name is Kai and I am a current second year international business student at the KBS in UL. Today I'm going to tell you about student life in the KBS and why you should consider putting down UL on your upcoming CAO application forms. For me, student life was definitely different to what you will experience next September due to COVID. I was at home for my first whole year for all of my lectures, all of my tutorials, and all of my exams. It was definitely different, but it really helped in my independent learning. Hopefully, some type of hybrid learning will continue to evolve in the education system, as it really helps you to look back at all of the lectures and your material coming up to exam season. On a typical day, you will have about one lecture and one tutorial per day. And that really helps because then the rest of the day you can spend in your own independent learning, and that is what really helps you cross the finish line, especially as you reach the end of the semester, which is what a term is called in UL. You won't have subjects in UL either, you will have modules. And all of your module leaders, who are the main lecturers on the module, will really help you if you have any issues. They are only one email away and they are all really helpful, especially in the KBS. Your course leaders are also two really important people. So if you do law and accounting or the BBS, Robert Ford will be your course leader. And in the international business program, Kieran Gallery is your course leader. And they are both fantastic if you have any queries at all regarding your whole course in general. At UL, you'll be integrated in student life by the first 7 weeks program, and that will really help you with any queries in your first 7 weeks during your first semester, as that is the time that takes a little bit of time to adjust to university life, especially after moving on from secondary school. Exams are also a little bit different in UL, as they won't just be fully 100% exams like you had for your Leaving Cert. In UL, continuous assessment forms a big part, especially in first year, where you may have midterms, assignments, and then a final exam in certain modules. But they aren't as bad as you think, and if you study a little bit along the way, you'll be just fine. Hopefully I get to see a few of you next year in UL, and I wish you all the best in your upcoming CAO and your Leaving Cert. Thank you.
So Kai has touched on a number of things there that are of interest. Obviously, Kai's experience was very much in the virtual space given the pandemic, etc. But based on recent announcements, we'll expect that your timetable next September will be significantly different. We start back actually next week in terms of teaching, and we'll be face-to-face for the vast majority of our classes. I think Kai also touched on the first 7 weeks program, which is a very important initiative that we run here to integrate incoming students into university life in terms of how to navigate the timetable, even how to navigate the university, how to study effectively at third level, etc. So that's really, really important. So you're going to actually attend a university next September, no matter where you go, but particularly if you come to the Kemmy Business School, which is more than likely going to be in the traditional physical format, but has the advantages of the virtual and blended approach that we've taken over the last couple of years. So that's something that is going to be really something to look forward to. Anyway, moving on, we're going to hear now from Amy Hogan. Amy is a fourth year Bachelor of Business Studies student, and Amy has had experience of UL's work placement program, which we call Cooperative Education, or Co-op. You'll hear that a lot in UL, and she's going to describe that to you now.
My name is Amy and I'm in my final year of my Bachelor of Business Studies degree in the Kemmy Business School. One of the main reasons why this course stood out so much to me was the opportunity to complete 9-month work placement in the third year of the degree. The Co-op office in UL is fantastic in assisting students throughout the entire process. From helping to source your placement to preparing you for interviews, the Co-op office is always on hand to help. Prior to Co-op, I had no experience of working in a regulated environment. However, Co-op provided me with fantastic, invaluable experience that I feel confident now that I could enter the world of work on completion of my degree. Due to COVID, my entire placement was completed online. However, that did not stop me from getting the best experience possible from Co-op. Co-op confirmed for me that I had chosen the correct career path, and I entered my final year with a new perspective on the world of work. Co-op provides students with the opportunity to utilise the skills and knowledge that they've already learned so far in their degree and put them into practice. This practical element of the degree is extremely helpful when applying for jobs, as it provides students with experience for their prospective roles. Not only that, but Co-op gave me the opportunity to expand my network and meet some wonderful people. Co-op is a fantastic stepping stone from student to professional, and it definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone and helped me to develop and mature both personally and professionally. It also opened my eyes to the vast array of career options that are available to me on completion of my degree. For me, Co-op has been the best experience I've had in UL so far.
Yeah, the co-op experience is a huge feature of everything we do at the University of Limerick, and obviously in the Kemmy Business School. If you study the Bachelor of Business Studies, the BA in International Business Law and Accounting, you'll go on co-op in third year, and you'll get to choose that co-op experience either locally, nationally or internationally, and we organise all of the jobs for you. So that's a really, really important feature of what we do at the business school. And obviously Amy had a very good experience on her co-op. Now we're going to hear about another important component of our student experience, and that's essentially study abroad and study abroad opportunities. And that's commonly referred to as Erasmus in most circumstances. Claudia Quirk is one of our postgraduate students, and she's actually currently studying for an MSc in Marketing, Consumption and Society. So she's one of our graduates from our undergraduate degrees, and she's going to talk to you now about study abroad opportunities available to you if you study business at UL.
So, my name is Claudia and I'm currently a student of the Kemmy Business School. I am a student of the Master of Science in Marketing, Consumption and Society, and today I'm going to speak about the different study abroad opportunities that Kemmy Business School provides to its students and my own experience with that. So UL is known for its study abroad opportunities. The Kemmy Business School in particular has partnerships with over 70 different education institutions around Europe and worldwide. This allows for students to travel abroad for a period of their undergraduate studies and to complete a semester or longer in a different country. All students of the Bachelor of Arts in International Business must partake in a study abroad semester as part of their course, and then students of the Bachelor of Business Studies have the option whether to travel abroad for a semester or to remain in UL for the full duration of their course. This study abroad period is commonly known as Erasmus, which is specific to foreign exchanges within the European Union. There are so many advantages to studying abroad. Students can experience travel and different cultures while still working towards their degree. And UL have partnerships with excellent universities abroad, so students can continue their studies to a high standard whilst they're away. As these partnerships work as a student exchange, the Erasmus programme is responsible for the great culturally diverse student population that we have here on campus in Limerick. It is extremely beneficial to students who choose to study a language with their degree. Students can spend a semester immersing themselves in the language, and this really does stand to them when they return to UL to complete their course. Although the idea of studying abroad may seem quite daunting to some students, UL really do ensure that it is a seamless experience and maintain constant contact with students abroad to make sure that they are satisfied with both their education but their whole experience. All students who go on a study abroad placement, they must complete a report of their experience when they return to UL. These reports are then made available to future students to help them to make their decision on where best suits them to go. And due to the large number of partnerships that UL have with host universities, some colleges accept multiple students each term. This means that there is an option to travel with friends, which is something that I myself found incredibly reassuring when I went on my Erasmus to France in my third year of my undergraduate degree. The 4 months that I spent there really developed my language skills. There was a wide range of different modules available to take in the host college, and I was able to study different subjects on this placement, and this really broadened my education also. I had the opportunity to travel on my days off from college, and it really was a once-in-a-lifetime experience that was made easy by the support from UL back home. Erasmus grants are also available and are funded by the European Union, which aims to ensure that this experience is available to all students who wish to avail of it.
Yeah, the study abroad feature of our business degrees is really important. I think if a student chooses to study abroad or is actually forced to study abroad as part of some of our programs, I think it's a real differentiator on their CV. It really tells employers and maybe people that are considering entry into postgraduate programs that there's something different about them, that there's a little bit of a risk taker about them. I should also note that many of our partners teach through English, and students do not need to be studying a language to avail of this fantastic opportunity. And furthermore, in terms of internationalization, even if you don't choose to go abroad as part of your studies at UL, you're surrounded by an international student cohort. I mean, we've students from all over the world visiting us in incoming Erasmus and study abroad programs, sometimes for a semester, sometimes for a year, or sometimes for their entire undergraduate education. So even if you don't choose to go abroad, you have that internationalization experience at UL. But I would be a huge advocate of traveling as part of your studies if that's option is available to you. So now we're going to move on to one of our colleagues here, Declan Mills. And Declan is one of our student support officers at UL, and he's assigned specifically to Kemmy Business School students. So what he'll talk you through today is he'll explain his role and the supports he offers to undergraduate business students throughout their journey at UL. And Declan's really important in terms of helping students in their decision making that ultimately defines their experience at UL.
Hi everyone, my name is Declan. I'm the Student Support Officer for the Kemmy Business School here in UL, and I'm here to talk to you today for a couple of minutes about the supports that will be available to you should you come to study business in UL. First off, there's my role, the Student Support Officer. There are 4 SSOs in UL, one for each of the faculties. I'm the one for the business school. What we do is pretty much everything. We are a one-stop shop for any questions, queries, issues, needs you have. It might be something personal, homesickness, financial issue, you might be looking for academic support, you might need an explanation of who to talk to about something or where to submit a certain form or how to apply for something. We cover all of that. We either talk you through it and help you with it ourselves, or we directly you on to the correct person or service to do it for you. So if you come to UL, you'll be seeing a lot of us. Coming out beyond that a little bit, there's a lot of different supports, both within KBS itself and within UL more broadly. Academically, if you're a Kemmy Business School student, there are a lot of supports available to you. If you're struggling with composition and essay writing, for example, you can use the Regional Writing Centre, where you will be tutored by what they call peer tutors, who are students, older students in your field, in your area, who are able to share their knowledge and expertise on how to compose an essay and this sort of thing. With mathematics, there's the Maths Learning Centre and there's the Peer Supported Learning Centre. And the Kemmy Business School runs a special course with the Peer Supported Learning Centre for first year accounting students. So if you need extra support with your accounting skills and with the Introduction to Accountancy module that all first year general entry business students will be doing, you can get support with that, again, from your peers in older years, people who've been through the exact same module, the same sets of assignments, who know what the struggle is like, and they can help you with that. Beyond that, moving out more broadly, there's a lot of supports from the academic side within your lecturers and your tutors. You'll have 2 to 3 kinds of classes. When you come and study business in UL, you will have lectures, which are very big. Then you'll definitely have tutorials, which are small, and you may have labs, which are also small. And tutorials are an opportunity to sit and discuss with a PhD lecturer the issues you're experiencing, how you're finding the classwork, if you have any questions about something you haven't quite followed from a lecture, this sort of thing. This is the place to get it, and you can do that in a small group environment or even one-on-one sometimes. Lecturers also have office hours, in person or online, where you can meet with them to discuss those issues. And some lecturers in the Kemmy Business School specifically hold drop-in clinics for their big modules, where you can come along and chat about that sort of thing. All of the SSOs will also be hosting drop-in clinics unique to their faculties, so you'll find me online hosting that sort of thing as well, that you can come along, and it might be running for an hour. You have a 30-second question, you pop in, you leave, you're done. Then a big thing within UL as a whole is an understanding that coming to university is a big change and it's challenging for a lot of people, and we want to make it as welcoming an environment as possible. And that begins with your open day experience, we hope, and with the orientation. And during your orientation, you'll get introduced to a lot, but hopefully you'll get to meet some peers and some students in older years that you can lean on for advice and look to if you have any early queries. And then the first 7 weeks program, which will help you settle in across your first semester in UL. And this includes workshops, drop-in events, social events, online competitions, and most importantly for some of you, guides that stand around the campus outside key locations wearing bright orange t-shirts. You'll see them around, and they're there just to, you're lost on your way to your lecture, you've been twice before but you can't remember where it is. They point you towards the room, they help you understand your timetable, that sort of thing. You'll meet as well during this time period people like your faculty librarian, like the first year librarian Jessie Walters, the first year support coordinator Dennis Murphy, who is my boss, and Jessie's army of red t-shirted library guides who are there to help you get settled into using the library, finding sources, getting used to the idea of undergraduate research. So all of that will be that transition will be smoothed over for you from all these different groups, and the idea is to make it hopefully as welcoming as environment as we possibly can. And then a lot of this plays into setting you up for success later in your time in UL. And we really are interested in seeing how much we can support you in growing and succeeding yourself through things like very highly targeted, and in the case of the Kemmy Business School, quite prestigious work placement opportunities, study abroad opportunities. There's plenty of opportunities to upskill and learn things related to, but slightly tangential or outside your immediate study area, through elective modules, through extra workshops, and these kinds of things, so that if there's something that interests you and you think will help you in your future career, maybe you come back from your work placement and you want to learn something about poster design for social media because you did that in the business you were in. Jesse Walters, the first year librarian, runs workshops on that. So there's loads and loads of opportunities to actually really grow yourself and grow your skills outside of your academic assessment when you're here. And that's one of the reasons that the KBS consistently wins awards and tops polls for business schools, the prestigious business schools to study in. It's a very, very excellent environment to move beyond just your academic focus and also get other skills that will help you in the world of work. And I hope I'll be seeing it here, starting to avail of all that come next September.
Yeah, I think Declan's talk there really shows how much emphasis we put on the student experience and how much support we provide. I mean, the university has gone to great lengths to ensure that the student experience is a very positive one here. And they've shown their commitment to that by hiring the likes of Declan as a student support officer and dedicating one student support officer to each of the faculties. So Declan is a great resource for our students in terms of navigating their way through university life, particularly at the outset. And I've mentioned it before, and Declan mentioned it, that first 7 weeks program where, you know, everybody's kind of trying to figure out what it's all about. It's a huge support and a huge comfort to people that are starting out. So keeping things going now, I'm going to introduce Dr. Briga Hines. Briga is a senior lecturer in entrepreneurship and the faculty advisor for the UL Enactus program, which you'll mention as part of her talk. Briga is going to speak to you today about how studying business at UL will help make you a career-ready graduate, which is something we really emphasise through our co-op and other activities, and also how we will give you the tools to adapt quickly in the world of work. And she'll also speak to you about entrepreneurship and career options as a graduate of the Kemmy Business School.
Completing the VBS range of undergraduate programs provide exciting and varied opportunities for graduates. And this is due to the fact that students gain solid foundational knowledge of all the different functions of business, business principles, and insights into leadership, strategic management, organizational change, sustainability, corporate social responsibility, and ethics. And this is strengthened by the major options of marketing, accounting and finance, economics, risk management, insurance, and human resource management. This mix of broad experience and specialist expertise provides our students very attractive opportunities in all industry sectors. Irrespective of industry sector, companies need business graduates. They need them to develop products, commercialization, for sustainability, growth. Therefore, our graduates have gotten opportunities across all sectors, such as the financial services, banking sector, public sector, pharmaceutical, healthcare, agribusiness, food sector, in general engineering, construction, aeronautical, to name a few. Students can also choose a type of company they would like to work in, some to suit your personal preferences. You may want to work in a large multinational, gain experience into globalization and internationalization, and that option is there. Also, our students have worked with startups, small and medium enterprises, where they get on-the-ground experience of working with entrepreneurs in starting, scaling, and growing their businesses. They get broad general experience and understand the dynamics of starting an enterprise, whether it's for profit, social enterprise, or community settings. Also, students work in community groups, non-government agencies, public sector organisations, and local initiatives set up through cooperatives, etc. Our BBS programs are truly international transferable degrees, and the business principles learned in the BBS programs are transferable to businesses in any country. Therefore, our students, while travelling and pursuing their professional ambitions of travel, can also simultaneously build up their CV in a professional manner. In addition to working in existing organisations, there's great opportunities for students who are equipped with the skills, the knowledge and the support to start their own business, to generate self-employment and employment for others, and to join the many increasing population of young startups in Ireland.
I think Briga makes some really, really important points around entrepreneurship and the, I suppose, the trend now, particularly amongst a lot of our young population, is to try and start their own businesses and grow those. And we've some obvious examples of those like Stripe, etc. And it doesn't have to be Stripe in terms of scale, etc. But a lot of people now are looking for that independence of running their own business, and Briga talked a lot about that. I'd like to introduce you now to Dr. Conor Carroll. Conor is the head of the Department of Management and Marketing, and Conor is joining us to deal with the questions and answers session. So if you start to continue typing your questions into the chat function there, and we'll try to deal with them. So I'll dive straight in, Conor, and I'll find a question here to kick off. What's the difference between the BBS and international business in terms of points?
Okay, for those two particular sort of programs, I know in the last particular sort of iteration of the sort of Leaving Cert, the international sort of business was at 555, which is again is testament to sort of the caliber of students that are attracted to our particular business programs. We've got to sort of always sort of hark back to the fact that you have one of the world's leading business schools here in the sort of Midwest. We're triple accredited in the top 1% of business schools worldwide, and it is really sort of says an awful lot about the type of caliber of our students we sort of attract and the students that we sort of graduate. For the Bachelor of Business Studies, it is 451. Now, the thing is, I'd say to a lot of people is that people would ask, is that an indicator in terms of is international business better than BBS? And the question is no, it isn't. The big thing there is international business is a very smaller class. Typically, we take on roughly over about 50 sort of students every year. And we do that because what we want to do is we want to prioritize international work placements for those particular sort of students. And that's the thing we've got to sort of really sort of bear in mind there as well. So for law and accounting as well, the points for that are 474. And really, if you're thinking of law and accounting, what I'd really sort of say to yourself is you really need to have a passion for sort of accountancy and an interest in pursuing sort of law. Typically, you'd find maybe about 70% of students who choose that particular degree program, 70% would choose accountancy as their career pathway, 30% would choose sort of law. And again, it comes down to your particular sort of interest and what your sort of big focus are. So like when you're thinking of filling out your CEO form, you can have a number 1, number 2, number 3, and just to be thinking strategic of it, but don't be sort of worried about sort of points per se. The business studies has lots of opportunities for you.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Conor. I mean, whatever business course you choose, you'll end up being a very employable graduate, and the career opportunities are huge. I'll let you follow on from what I say here now, Conor, but I mean, often there's a perception that business is just accounting or just economics or marketing, but there's so many subsections to it. I mean, even and maybe Conor might pick up on this. I mean, I always thought marketing was a relatively straightforward discipline, but I mean, if you kind of drop down in terms of simplicity, you're looking at advertising, and if you go up in terms of complexity, you're looking at branding, and that brings in disciplines around creativity, psychology, etc. So do you want to pick up maybe, Conor, on, I suppose, the types of careers that people can get, and I can join in after maybe on the finance side, but certainly from a management and marketing perspective?
Yeah, I think really the nice thing about sort of studying a business degree is that you'll find the sort of your passion and the discipline that really sort of attracts you and you find interesting, and you can pair that up with your sort of aptitude, what you're strong in. So like you could be very sort of numerical, you like sort of numbers, for example, finance, economics may be well suited for you. Maybe you're sort of more sort of analytical minded and would prefer to do things within things like marketing research, for example, or doing sort of in market management consultancy. Furthermore from that, you might be very sort of creative, maybe sort of the advertising branding may be sort of suitable towards yourself. Or in terms of dealing with people and understanding psychology, HRM and sort of different perspectives there. So like there's pathways for everybody in terms of what they're really sort of interested in. Like for a lot of our particular sort of graduates, they're sort of employed by leading companies. Like for example, I have lots of graduates working for Google, people working for Facebook, HubSpot, TikTok, all the major big social media sort of companies, Twitter, for example, our graduates go on to work for them. But also, not only do they sort of work for the big multinationals, some of them have set up their own businesses. They've started up their own sort of franchise. Some are working in sort of charity organizations and NGOs. So there's lots of different sort of scope there itself. But the one thing I'd say to any prospective sort of student is do something that really interests you and that you have a passion for, because that will motivate you through absolutely anything. But like our business graduates, they're highly sort of employable and do tremendously sort of well across the sort of spectrum in terms of senior management roles. Some of our alumni, you know, they're CEOs of major banks, VPs, for example, of technology firms. The list goes on and on. So that really sort of stands out. Fergal?
That's a great run through, Conor. I don't think I need to add much to that. There's a question in the chat, which is an interesting one, and some more, I suppose it's more about settling in and socializing within a university. And is it hard to make friends? Are the classes large? I mean, my opinion would be that you don't necessarily need to make friends with people in your class, even though it's really, really handy. You can make friends in a number of different ways throughout the university, and that goes back to the clubs and societies angle. What's your view on that, Conor?
Yeah, you like some of the class sizes can be quite large, but you will make friends because again, you're going to go into sort of smaller group interactions as well in tutorials, for example. You're going to be in interactive sort of sessions whereby you may be doing sort of role plays or sort of group work, for example. You may be doing project work in groups of 4 or 5. So there's lots of different types of opportunities to meet your sort of friends and build acquaintances. And I think in some cases during orientation week, they put people into smaller sort of groups and introduce themselves. And some of those people you meet the very first day will be friends for life that you'll meet all the way through up until graduation and beyond as well. So, you know, yes, you will sort of meet people. And outside of academic stuff, there's all of the sort of social activities in terms of clubs, societies, even things like if you're going on Erasmus, going abroad to a university, you will be sort of joined with other sort of people from your home university going to that same university overseas. And again, that's a way in which you're sort of building sort of friends and networks for life, in fact, as well.
That's interesting, Conor. And actually, I was at a graduation recently, and our dean made the following comments. He made friends at college, and if he hadn't stayed in touch with them, which he did, he would have a different best man. He would have different godparents to his children, and he would be holidaying in very different destinations. So that just gives you an insight into what you said there in terms of the friends that you make in college and how you follow those friendships across the life cycle. So that's really interesting. Conor, would you have any insights into scholarships? Now, scholarships at UL are generally a centralized function for the most part. And what I would advise is you to go to the UL website and search for scholarships. And there are a number of scholarships available. Academic, for want of a better expression, and also sporting scholarships, but they're a centralized process. Do you want to talk anything about scholarships, funding, etc., Conor, that you might have some gems of wisdom on?
Yeah, look, I think, you know, all of the different sort of scholarships can be quite different, and there's lots of different sort of qualifications and different elements and details surrounding it. So really I'd recommend to any sort of student is to have a look at the different opportunities that are there and, you know, can they possibly sort of avail of them. And again, there's lots of support as well beyond just the scholarships in terms of grants, for example, you know, trying to fund your time at university as well. That again, do seek out those resources on campus to find out more details in terms of, am I eligible for particular sort of grants, for example, can I apply for sort of scholarships? So I think the big thing is always go out and ask and find out about these things because there are ones available.
Yeah, and I think Jack alluded to all of the supports that he was able to access as part of his journey. But I suppose from our perspective here on the call, it's very difficult for us to give specific examples because everybody's circumstances are different. So the best thing to do is to engage with the services available on the UL website in terms of scholarship and funding. And the other people that will help you with that would be your guidance counsellors, particularly if you're 6 years on the call here. Another question here we have, and I think it's an interesting one, it's how early in first year is the impression this person has, it's Connor actually as well, do you have to make decisions about study abroad or subjects or whatever the case might be? Before Connor comes in, I'll just say, we try not to pressurize you in terms of decisions. Normally we get you to make decisions so that we can organise and have things ready for you. But it's not like you make a decision and that's it, then you can't ever reverse out of it. That's the first bit of comfort that I give to you. But Connor can pick up on that there.
Yeah, like I think for a lot of people on the call, some of you would be probably saying, I don't know what I want to be when I'm 25, 40 or 50, and they want that sort of extra time. And choosing a business degree will give you that particular sort of time and sort of flexibility, whereby being able to sort of find out what disciplines you're really interested in, whether you may find you have a particular sort of interest for economics and public policy or accountancy or management or whatever it may be. We would try and get people to sort of select their major options in year 2, and thus they can sort of select their particular streams or majors that they want to select. So we have 5 major streams. So it's accountancy and finance, economics and finance, marketing, risk management and insurance, and human resource management. And coupled with that, they can choose from a suite of 10 minor options. So as you sort of experience the whole breadth of different sort of business disciplines in year 1, you're then able to sort of determine, yes, this is something that I'm really interested in. I want to find out more. Maybe I want to sort of work in this particular sort of area because I'm inspired by a guest lecturer who came in who's a former student of UL, or a particular sort of lecturer who we found sort of fascinating. So that's the great thing about a business as an option. You can have that choice and you can choose your own destiny about where you go to. With an awful lot of other programs, it can be very prescriptive. You are going to be a forensic whatever from day 1, year 1 at the age of 18. But like business gives you that choice, and that's fantastic.
Excellent, Connor. There's a question that I'll take here, and it's is the business course difficult if you aren't doing business for Leaving Cert? I did physics, applied maths and chemistry and came on to a business program then. You find it a little bit challenging at the outset just because you don't have the vocabulary maybe of some of your other classmates. But in my experience, the non-business people that come into business programs tend to feel a little bit like an underdog and work that little bit harder, and often progress past people that have studied business before, because those people are maybe somewhat complacent. Maybe they're sitting in their first year economics lecture and saying, sure, I've all of this done in Leaving Cert, I know it all. But you know, the approach at university would be different in terms of how we teach business, etc. So I certainly would have no concerns about somebody that hasn't studied business before coming onto a business program. So Adam, no worries on that score. So maybe we might take one more question, but before we do, and while I'm waiting for that question to come through, we do other taster events in a similar format to what we're doing today, but obviously we just get different insights by different contributors, etc. So we have an Experience Business at UL taster event next Wednesday night between 7 and 8 o'clock in the evening time. The link for that will go into the chat now, and feel free to register. You know, you might hear some of the same stuff again, but you might just hear something that clicks with you, or hear about something that you haven't heard as part of your open day experience here today. So I'd encourage you all to sign up to that once the link comes in the chat. And I'm just checking if there's another question. Yeah, I think we're okay. Connor, do you want to wrap up with a concluding comment?
Sure. Look, I think the biggest thing for anybody sort of listening is that, you know, by joining the Kemmy Business School at the University of Limerick, you're joining a very sort of prestigious university, a fabulous sort of business school. There's a whole range of opportunities for yourselves, paid work placement, international Erasmus and study abroad experiences for dual degrees, exemptions for particular sort of careers and professional qualifications, a breadth of sort of choice that's out there. So really, I think, you know, the one thing you should be satisfied in, that you're making a very good choice by choosing sort of UL. And the one thing I'd say to you as well is, you know, do some research, go online, have a look at the sort of programs, and ask students on the program what they think of the program, and graduates as well. And again, you'll hear all the positive things as well. So as well, I want to wish everybody on the call the very best of luck at the Leaving Cert. I really do sort of, my heart goes out to you this year in terms of how difficult it is to sort of study and prepare, but I want to wish you the very best of luck.
Thanks, Connor. And just to reiterate, the availability of our colleagues here in terms of helping. So if it's the BBS, it's James Ryan at ul.ie. If it's the BA in International Business, it's Kieran.Gallery at ul.ie. And if it's the BA in Law and Accounting, it's John.Heenahan at ul.ie. And all of those names, etc., are available in the chat, and you can contact us at business@ul.ie, etc. So there's loads of avenues for you to do that research. So listen, on that note, I'm just going to thank a few people who have been involved in the call today. Obviously Connor, who's been here to help me with the Q&A, Kieran Gallery, who was on earlier in terms of the BAIB, James Ryan, who was on earlier in terms of the BBS. And in terms of the people that you haven't seen on this call, it's Elaine Milan and Aaron King, who are really valuable members of the KBS team, and we really appreciate their help in terms of the production of this event. So for now, it's goodbye from us. Hope to see you all in September, but until then, maybe just go and enjoy your Saturday. All the best.